one of the first things I like to do when I'm planning a project is things start to get a little bit chaotic, especially as you start to create more designs for your apps. So first of all, we can come into each of these and we just collapse them. And what we'll do actually is we'll create a collapse all feature. Okay, I've just messaged the developer. We're building a collapse all feature. So go ahead and we're going to collapse all of these things. And now that all of those collapse, let's just save this, and we can also do an auto layout, and we'll just make sure everything is pretty organized for us. So now we can clearly see what we're working on here. We've got the organization and folders, so we've got the notes on how those work. We've also got the requirement docs for those. So we've got the front end, the back end, and the database one, and then we've got the same thing for our note creation and editing. We've got the front end, back end, and database one. So you can have a look at how we've designed the database for each of these. And then what we can do now is actually start building this app. So I want to show you exactly how to do this. So what I've done, and go ahead and watch the MCP tutorial. But at the moment, I'm going to build this on Lovable. And if we go to integrations here, you can scroll down and see I've got the CodeSpring MCP has been set up. You need to be on the Lovable business plan if you want to be able to use the MCP with CodeSpring. So we're going to come into here and we're going to label. Let's just give this app a new name. We're going to call this the. So calling this note taker Lovable. We'll just give that a save. Let's save this. And what we'll do is we'll come to the Lovable here, and we're going to say very, very simply, please import the plans from the note taker Lovable app I have planned inside CodeSpring, and please build it for me. And the other thing which you can do, which actually, let's do this now, we'll do this together, is I like to go to Dribble, and I like to get inspiration for how I want my app to look. So for example, the note creation and editing, we're going to click on this plus button here, and we're going to come to the mood board, and we're just going to bring this up here, and we're going to upload some ideas on what we want the note taker to look like. So we become note taker in Dribble. We can see what other people have created. So this is something that I really like for the note taker. So this UI here. So we're going to copy a screenshot of that, and we're going to let's drop that in here. And then what we're going to do is actually I'll save that as well. So I want to have it on the I'll have it on my desktop as well, because we'll upload that to Lovable as well. So that's what we want that to look like. So what is this? This is the I've added that to the wrong one. Make sure you're keeping organized on these things. So we come down here. So this is for the folder and category controls. So actually for the note creation one, we want to add it here. So let's just do mood board, and we'll add that one in now. And click on this to upload. And I think it should be on my desktop. Should be this one here. And then we want category controls as well, something that's quite useful. So I'll tell you what, this is something I want. This would be a good one for the dashboard as well. So we can take a screenshot of that, and we can actually upload multiple images for the dashboard. So what I might do is I might create here. Actually, I'll add these all to this one here. So we can add, this can be the image here as well. And what we're going to do now is we're going to come to the front end product requirement doc, and we're going to delete this, because now what we're doing is we're adding a mood board on what we want our app to look like. So let's just save this. And you can, by the way, you can come to Orchestrator, and what you could have done is you could have clicked this and then added it to context. And what you could have done is said, build me a mood board. You can probably tell I'm a bit tired. Build me a mood board. By the way, if my voice sounds weird, I'm ill while I'm filming these videos. And I can upload these two images here. We can drag them over, and we can say, build me a mood board for this feature. And then basically what you can do is send that off, and Orchestrator will go ahead and add it to your plan. I'm not going to bother with that because obviously I've already created it. But we can come to the product requirement doc bridge now, and let's just come and generate a front end UI product requirement doc. And essentially what this is going to do now is it's going to say, well, before we had a requirement doc and how we wanted it to look like, but it wasn't based on anything other than our description. So now we've given it this. It's going to take inspiration from the colors and the design, and it's going to give that to the requirement doc here to basically design how we want that to look like as well. But what we're also going to do is provide it as additional context when we're building with Lovable as well. So we're going to wait for this to finish, and then what we'll do is we'll populate it inside Lovable. So while that's doing that, let's just grab those screenshots here, and let's just paste them in here. And we're going to say here, please see the inspiration for the design images. And now come back to CodeSpring, and we're just going to save this, and that should be fine. Obviously, make sure you got the MCP set up, and we're just going to come to here, and we're going to send this one through. And what's going to happen now is Lovable's going to figure out, okay, well, we've got access to CodeSpring, so what I'm going to do is go in and I'm going to have a look at, okay, well, what are the projects we have available to us? And it's going to find, okay, well, right now I'm actually inside the organization. So you can see here we're doing Note Taker Lovable in my organization. Okay, so if you want to add team members, you can do that through organization. You need to be on the business plan for this, but Note Taker Lovable is in that one. So if you can't find it, we'll want to push it in the right direction. So let's just click on here. Find the Note Taker app plans. Now the other thing here is, right, you want to avoid having the same names across multiple. So I've got Note Taker Lovable here. If I come to my personal account, I've got Note Taker main, just because anytime I'm filming a tutorial, I think of a Note Taker. It's just the first thing that comes to mind. So it's going to get all projects for us. And essentially now what we're doing is we've got this brain that we've created that we're giving directly to Lovable, and it can read all that plan for us. If you would like to trial this software as a business, you can go ahead and click the top link down below in the description. You can invite up to 10 different team members. We're going to give you over 100,000 credits. Plus, we're going to get on a one-on-one onboarding call with you and I, and we're going to give you a dedicated support channel. If you go ahead and click the link down below in the description, you can go ahead and read a little bit more about it. Usually, a business plan would be $9,657 per year. You can try it today 100% risk-free for 7 days for $0. And then once that time is up, if you still don't want to use the software, we'll cancel your subscription. We'll get on a call with you. If you still don't want to use the software, we'll cancel your subscription. But if you do want to keep using it, it's £187 per month, and that's the best deal that we have going at the moment. So if you would like to try it, I definitely recommend grabbing a free trial in the link down below. Here you can see I found the Note Taker Lovable projects in your CodeSpring workspace, and based on the plan and your reference images, I'll build a beautiful note-taking app with this. Design, direction, MVP features, design schema. So it's going to basically read those plans and actually start pulling them in. Now, what it's doing right now is it's installing certain fonts and packages and things. I'm just going to stop this for now, and I'm actually just going to tell it to, can you get all notes and PRDs from this project and add them to the code base. Okay, because what's going to happen is we'll see how Lovable handles this, but we should start to see essentially it will create files for these requirement docs for us inside our Lovable project. So I'm going to click on allow. You can set this to do it instead of asking each every time, just always allow, which we might do in a second. But I like to just keep on top of it and make sure it's doing everything correctly. The other thing you can do to point it in the right direction, usually I've never run into any of these issues where Lovable doesn't find the right project, but you can also take this, and if you take the URL here, this is the ID. You could always send it and say for this project here, and you could paste that ID. So let's just do always allow now, and let's just do allow that. So it's going to get all PRD, so presumably I think you need to set it as always allow for each of these tool calls. So CodeSpring can do multiple tool calls, so it can get access to the mind map, it can get access to all the requirement docs, it can do find out the structure of everything, and it's going to pull all that information in for us. And essentially what we're trying to do here is, if we just said to Lovable to build the app for us, then it's not going to have all of the context inside its memory. Whereas what we want to do here is we want to put it in and add them to the memory. Okay, this is putting the wrong project. 1 second. So we're just trying here, get the product requirement docs for this project, and this is the ID for that project. So it should push it in a little bit more, and I just took that from the URL up here. And then just like that, it's found the 7 product requirement docs. So if you ever get to the point where it gets a little bit confused, if you just paste in the ID of it, it'll do a better job. Now we are actively maintaining this, improving this as well, so it shouldn't run into any issues as well when you're using this. But if it does, little tip to help you out there. Now you can see here, I don't know if it's actually going to show us in the files yet, but you can see we've got the front-end PRD org and PRD org here. And essentially what it's taking here is these are the front-end PRDs for organization, and then it's doing the back-end PRD for organization. It'll do the database one, and then what it'll do is it'll move on to these ones here. So we've got the front-end one here, and we've got the database one here. And it'll add them all in. So it's starting to get all the information here. And it depends on how Lovable handles these things. Hopefully what it'll do is it'll actually add them to the files for us. So you can see here, I gave it the ID, and essentially it then added all the PRDs to our code base. Now, I wanted to make this part of the video here just to kind of explain what might confuse some of you. Essentially what happens is it adds it to a folder called .codespring/PRDs/note creation editing. Okay, and it's created all of these product requirement docs on how to actually build our app. Okay, which is really, really cool because it's taken all of that context directly from our plan and it's pulled it directly into here. So now it has an up-to-date information on how to build. But you can see here there's no folder called .codespring. And the reason for that is because essentially a .codespring folder is a hidden folder. Now, if you're building on Cursor, you'll be able to actually see that folder. But in Lovable, clearly they don't make it visible. I just confirmed this with it and it told me the same thing. So what we can do now is we can say excellent. You can say excellent. Please proceed with building all of these features. And for the sake of time, I'm going to say avoid adding any databases right now, just because I don't want to go through the time process of integrating Lovable into it as well. So also what we probably should have done there is you've got obviously the images here, and the images here have been used to create the front-end product requirement docs, but equally, you know, this design here is based roughly off these images, but also if we gave these images to the prompt here, and Lovable would probably get a much better result as well. So what we're going to do is, so you see memo moo is this one here. So it's taken this screenshot and that is in the front-end requirement docs, but also the images that we've given it. And what it's going to do is try and create us an app that will allow us to hopefully create new notes and then add organization and folders. We're not obviously doing the collaboration and invites. We're not doing the search and tagging because we haven't created the plans for how to do those yet. So this is part of the fun thing. Is what we really can do is we can work a lot with designing our product and building out random features. And then we can start building, and then we can always come back to it later on and say, okay, well, now let's add new features, and you can continue building from there. So you don't need to plan everything, then build. You can plan a bit and start building. So I'm just going to let this run, and I'll pause this, and I'll come back once it's done. So things are starting to come together. You can see it's, first of all, it's pulled in a really nice font. You can actually see here it's reading, it's creating various files, but it's created I think it was here. So it's creating the notes sidebar, the app sidebar, layout, loads of different things. And obviously, we've given it this screenshot, and it's probably going to go ahead and add in, some various features from this that we don't need that aren't necessarily in our plan. So that's why I sort of recommend being cautious when you're using images. But you can see the design is really, really nice, right? We've got our notes section, so we can see this is where all of our notes are. And we've obviously got the ability to create a new note. And I think, what was the other ones we've created here? So we're creating a note creation and editing and organization folders and categories. So if we come back to here, we can see, okay, we've got this. We can go ahead, we can add tags, which is obviously pretty cool. These are the categories from our design. We can obviously change different colors, which is something that I'm not sure whether this had come up in here or whether this is something that Lovable's decided to do, but it's doing a really good job of coming up with some very, very cool ideas. We can see here we've got various folders to organize stuff into. So with our organization and categories, which is this stuff up here, if we actually look through here, we can choose a folder when creating a new note. We can change a notes folder and category from the dashboard card, and we can change folders and categories inside the editor and persist immediately. Okay, so we can see if we come back to the, I don't know how we see all of them, but here we go, clear all the notes. So we've got this one here, and presumably what we might be able to do is edit this. We can then move it to a different folder. Presumably, I'm not quite sure how that works, but we can have a look at fixing that. But it's done a pretty good job straight away of creating these notes, which I'm pretty pleased with. And what we can do now is let's test out. If we try and create a new note, we can say in here new note test, oops, and then hello world, oops. Excellent. And then we can save that. So let's put it in the default unsorted, which you'll remember from earlier. It said, okay, well, if a note is created, when we created the design in CodeSpring, it would put it in a default unsorted folder. I just realized you can see all the water. And now, obviously, we've got these different ones here, which is pretty cool as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back into CodeSpring now, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start planning out the search and tagging, because I don't think Lovable has decided to do that, which is... Okay, so it's got some search. Let's see if the search works, because search and tagging is quite a simple thing. So we can say new note. Yes, okay, so it has actually created the search and tagging. So what we can do now is we can actually give this a go, and we could say, I see you created search and tagging for notes. We haven't actually planned this yet in CodeSpring. Can you send the, I don't know, details on how this is built over to CodeSpring and add it to our mind map? And I like to, so we're working on making this as automated as possible, so you can just send something like this and then the MCP will be able to figure it out. But I like to come into here and just copy the name of the tag I want to add it to. So just copy this one, come into here and say, please attach these plans on how it works to the feature card. And then we can send that through. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is a very, very new feature. I haven't tried it many times. Most of the times I have tried it, I use it with Cursor, but we'll see how well it works with Lovable. Now, if we come into settings, nothing. Okay, so settings doesn't exist yet. And what we'll do is what we can start to work on next is the collaboration invites, which we can actually design in here. So we can actually come to create this, and we can just do add a bridge on here. We can call this collaboration. And I don't know where it's put that. Where's it put it? Collaboration is here. So let's just move this over here, and we can actually click on this plus button, notes, and we can pull that up here. And we can then start to take some notes on how this works. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to actually, I've got this selected, so I'm going to click add one to context. I'm going to select orchestrator on fast mode, and I'm just going to say in here, what we want to do is inside the settings, inside our app, we want to have a collaboration and invites area, which is essentially going to allow me to create an organization. And then from an organization, I can go in and I can create teams of people, and I can then create and invite people. And when I invite somebody, I want to be able to add them to a certain team, for example. And actually, I'm going to put this onto autopilot, and no, let's leave it on fast, and we'll send that through. And let's have a look at what Lovable is getting up to. So I'll fetch the mind map, find search and tagging feature, and add a documentation note. So let me just check the first project first. And again, what you could do here is you could take this ID of the project. Alternatively, you could give it the name. But I think Lovable might cache this information from earlier. But anyway, the MCP is going to go ahead and find all that information for us. So this is a really cool way of saying, okay, well, look, we've started to plan out our idea in CodeSpring, but we've got, obviously, these are the search and tagging, for example. It's probably pulled this information in earlier into Lovable because it knows we've got this feature, and it's just decided to build it. But also because it's quite a common feature that would be built, it's just gone ahead and built that thing for us. Okay, update features node. Let's just click on allow, and let's just see what it comes up with. So while that's going on, you can see here Orchestrator's sort of planning out concise information on how kind of we want that feature to work. And it'll probably try and add it to this as well. If it doesn't, we can just copy it and paste it in here. Cool. Lovable says the mind map update failed. Okay, let me create the PRD product requirement doc instead, and then we can always sync it to CodeSpring. Okay, let's just let that continue. And it's given us next step. So add this spec as a note node, generate backend PRDs. We're just going to add it as, I'm going to put this on autopilot just because it's a more powerful one. I'm going to select one. So what it will do is it will then add this spec underneath here. So what it's done, Lovable has created us a product requirement doc on how it works. So what's happening here is it's storing that in our PRDs folder, which obviously we can't see if we come into the code, but it's obviously stored, which is useful because if this ever happens, first of all, if you run into a bug like this, then let us know and we'll get it fixed. But if you just say, why did it fail? Sometimes what's probably beneficial to do is, again, just give it a little bit more information. So we copy this and we can say this is the project. Add this to the mind map, and it'll add it. Hopefully, it should add it in. Cool. What's going on over here? So we've got the collaboration, invite, and settings has now been added to our plan, which is really cool. So we've got that in here. That's pretty cool. And let's just go ahead and we can actually probably now. Well, first of all, let's save this. And what we can probably do is come to this plus button, generate product requirement doc. And then bring that over here, and let's start to work on building this up. And what I'm going to do is generate a front-end product requirement doc for that. And once that's done, we'll do the back-end one, and also we'll do the database design as well. So the front end product requirement docs being created, and essentially all we're doing here is we're just saying, look, well, we've built most of the app in Lovable already. Let's get working on the next features, and you could be doing this both at the same time. The idea is when you're planning something in here, Lovable can be building, and then once Lovable's finished building, and if you add any additional features, you can say, okay, make sure this is up to date and in sync with what you've built inside CodeSpring. So I'll do backend one now. Save this, and we'll just do auto layout, just keep everything a bit more organized, and then yeah, I mean, let me know what you think so far. If you're excited, if you like this, if there's any features you'd like to have or be added, please let us know by emailing support@codespring.app. If you're watching this and you're not a user of CodeSpring, then just go to the main website and create an account, and then you can upgrade. At the moment, we're only doing yearly plans, so if you come to billing, you can view your current plan. So we have the £249 for a full year to grab access. Obviously, there's VAT and tax on top of that, but then you'll get access to this full software. Then if you would like to grab access to organization and all of that, you can do that once you're inside the app. Okay, so we've now got requirement docs set up for the new feature, collaboration feature. And what we're going to do now is we'll come into Lovable, and we are going to work on building this new feature. Now, we've got an issue at the moment where we're syncing from Lovable back to CodeSpring, which we're working on fixing. As you'll notice, version 2 came out probably 2 weeks ago, so there's a couple of small bugs everywhere, but we are working our way through them. Very small team, but you guys are awesome for supporting us through this. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to say to this, don't worry, let's move on to building the collaboration feature. I've just made new PRDs on how I want them to work. Please add them into this app. And we can send that through. And hopefully what this will do now is it will go back to CodeSpring, and it will look through here and it'll say, okay, cool, we've got these ones and we've got this one here, and then obviously we can go ahead and we can start building. What I might do is I might create a thing where we can actually manually, select these, turn them on and off, so we can then start to sort of say, okay, well, we've built this one, let's turn it off, and we can sort of move things out of the way and keep things a little bit more organized, to avoid sort of ever having to sort of overdo things. So you can see here, I can see the new collaboration invitations product requirement docs. Let me fetch all three and understand full requirements. Okay, so it's going to pull in the requirements for the front end, the back end, and also the database design. And all of that is based on the message that we said earlier for how to actually build the collaboration and invites. And there's a full description on how that should work. And then these requirement docs are based on that description. So everything can be done rapidly and much quicker, and you can start to see how you can take an idea and you can actually turn it into reality just by following through using CodeSpring for this. Cool. So Lovable says, okay, I've reviewed all three things. We've got the database, we've got the back end, we've got the front end. It says this requires Lovable, Cloud, Auth, and Edge functions. So the problem we have here is obviously you're going to need to start to get set up and build in like databases, and the reason you need authentication, those sorts of things, is so you can actually go ahead and build these features properly. How would you like to proceed with the collaboration feature? So let's do, let's just for now, for the sake of this video, let's start with just the front end only. And then we're just going to submit this, because as I'll do some more tutorials where we build out like a full application with like the proper back end and implementation and everything. But what I wanted to demonstrate to you here is how we can actually start to design and say, look, we've designed the front end, we can build the back end, we can build the database, we can do all the authentication and stuff that allows you to create organizations and invite people and make sure people have certain permissions. But in order to do that, we need to have the front end as well that we can visually see. And we want to see how does CodeSpring work with Lovable, where we can integrate our plans and we can say, okay, well, we've started to build something. Now we can come back into here and we can start working on new features, and then we can continue building. So it's not like you have to build everything all at once and then build. You can build a couple of features and then plan next features, and you can continue building up like that. So what should happen is hopefully when we come into the settings section, we should start to see an area where we can go ahead and create teams and invite people. Okay, so it says it's built the collaboration front end with mock data for now. So if we come to settings, we can see we've got members, we've got teams, we've got invites. And this is exactly what we had planned inside CodeSpring. So if we come into here, we can see for the collaboration feature, we had come in and we said we want to go to settings. We want to have the ability to create names. We want to be able to invite members. And you can see here we've got various information on the members. So we've got We've got teams that you can join, actions, you can change a role, you can remove teams, you can manage teams. So we have owner, admin, and member, and maybe a view later, sort of like a read-only thing. So let's see what it's created. So if we come to members, we have admin, owner, and member. So it's pulled in the correct information there. If we come into teams, we have obviously the engineering team and design team. We can create a new team, and then obviously we can go ahead, we can invite somebody. Obviously we haven't built the back end for that, so that's not going to work right now, but you get the idea. So you can really start to mock up some very, very cool ideas and very, very cool features when you start to integrate CodeSpring into Lovable, and this would also work if you were building with Cursor as well. And failing that, if you want to build on any other platform, if you can't integrate an MCP, so I think, for example, Base 44 doesn't have an MCP, what you can also do is actually download these product requirement docs so you can actually use them in another platform as well. So then you could download them all and you could organize them as well. So hopefully that video helps you just to see how you can take something that you've planned inside CodeSpring in the previous video to actually start building it into Lovable as well. And in the next few videos, I'll do some tutorials on how to actually set up the MCP and other bits and pieces as well. So hopefully that was all useful to you.